Yeah, my friends, today we are concentrating the most important topic in coordinate geometry, which is conic sections. And it is very important topic, especially for JE mains and advanced. And moreover, for board examinations also, especially for AP and Telangana students, and for other state students also, it is important. Before going into conic sections, here in conic sections there are four important topics, and of that we are mainly concentrating on parabola, ellipse, and hyperbola. Parabola, ellipse, and hyperbola. Here, before today we are concentrating on parabola. Before going to that, I would like to introduce what is a conic section. In the title itself, it contains conic sections. Conic means cone plus section. Cone plus a section with what? With a plane. So what will happen if a cone intersects by a plane, or if a plane intersects the cone in different angles with respect to the axis of the cone? What will happen? That we will observe with the help of the video, and after that we will enter into the parabola lesson 1 chapter. Before that, you watch this video.
Conic sections. In this module, you will learn about conic sections. When a straight line intersects a vertical line at a fixed point and rotates about that fixed point, the surface obtained is called a double right circular cone. A double right circular cone consists of two cones joined at a fixed point called the vertex. The line that rotates about the vertex is called the generator, and the line that remains fixed is called the axis. A right circular cone has a circular base, and its axis is always perpendicular line from the center of the base to the vertex. The perimeter of the base is called the directrix. The lateral surface of a right circular cone is called a nap. A double right circular cone has two naps. The nap above the vertex is called the upper nap, and that below the vertex is called the lower nap. Also, the angle between the generator and the axis is called the vertex angle. Conic sections. If a plane intersects a double right circular cone, we get two-dimensional curves of different types. These curves are called conic sections. Depending on the angle made by the plane with the vertical axis of the cone, the plane can cut the cone in three different ways. Ellipse. When the plane intersects the double right circular cone in such a way that the angle between the plane and the axis is greater than the vertex angle, we get a closed curve called an ellipse. When the plane is perpendicular to the axis, the ellipse becomes a circle. Thus, a circle is a special type of ellipse. Parabola. When the angle made by the plane to the vertical axis is exactly equal to the vertex angle, we get an open curve called a parabola at the intersecting surface of the cone. Hyperbola. The plane intersects only one nap of the double right circular cone as long as the angle between the plane and the vertical axis is greater than or equal to the vertex angle. However, if the plane intersects the vertical axis at an angle smaller than the vertex angle, the plane intersects both the naps of the cone to form an open curve called a hyperbola, which has two disjoint curves,
Yeah.
degenerate conics. If the plane intersects the double right circular cone at its vertex, the ellipse becomes a point, the parabola becomes a line, and the hyperbola becomes two intersecting lines.
Exactly.
The figures so obtained are called degenerate conics. In this module, you have learned that when a plane intersects a double right circular cone, two-dimensional curves called conic sections are formed. There are three types of conic sections: ellipse, parabola, and hyperbola. When the double right circular cone is cut by the plane so that the angle between the plane and the axis is greater than the vertex angle, the ellipse is obtained. When the plane is perpendicular to the axis, the ellipse changes into a circle. If a double right circular cone is cut by a plane so that the angle between the plane and the axis is equal to the vertex angle, the parabola is formed. If a double right circular cone is cut by a plane so that the angle between the plane and the axis is less than the vertex angle, the hyperbola is formed. If a plane intersects the double right circular cone at its vertex, the figures formed are called
Degenerate conics. So this is about the conic and the sections. So now we are concentrating on a parabola. For this, I would like to tell some important points I would like to share with you. Suppose, my friends, this is a plane you take and draw a fixed line, and you take a fixed point S, and this is any variable point P. Draw a perpendicular from that fixed point to the line which is PM. The line you say that as L, this is a fixed line, and this is a fixed point, and this is a variable point, and join S and P. If SP by PM, what is SP? Distance between this fixed point and the variable point P, as well as the perpendicular distance from point P onto this fixed line, that is PM. If this ratio is a constant which is represented by E, then the locus of P is called a conic. So based on that E, we will get different types of conics. And what is E and what is S? Here we have to know the facts and the terminology in this conic sections. They are very, very important for you. Before that, you just read this definition. Let S be a fixed point and L be a fixed line, and a point P moves such that SP by PM is equal to E, where PM is the perpendicular distance from P onto the line which is called directrix, that fixed line, and the number E is called eccentricity. My friends, here I introduced two important terms which is directrix and eccentricity. Eccentricity is the Sanskrit word. The meaning of eccentricity is amount a conic section deviates from being perfectly a circle. That in previous video we discussed about the line which is the generator making an angle with the vertex at vertex. That angle matters. So to find the angle, here SP by PM is equal to E, that ratio indicates what? Eccentricity. And so based on that value E, you will get different type of conics. So for what value of E you will get conic, what conic, and everything we will concentrate here. So here my first terminology is what? That fixed point is called what? Focus, and that fixed line is called what? Directrix, and that ratio SP by PM is equal to E is what? Eccentricity. Then if E equal to 0, in SP by PM is equal to E, if E equal to 0, then locus of P is called a circle. And if E equal to 1, then locus of P is called a parabola. And if E is lie between 0 and 1, then the locus of P is called ellipse. And if E greater than 1, then the locus of P is a hyperbola. So E is always what? E is always a non-negative constant, a non-negative real number. And moreover, if I have taken on two-dimensional geometry, if I have taken anything, any second degree equation in x and y, you might have known it. The second degree non-homogeneous equation in x and y is what? Ax square plus 2hxy plus by square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c equal to 0. This represents a conic section. Not every second degree non-homogeneous equation represents a conic section. Terms and conditions apply. Why we are concentrating on second degree means, after evaluating this, suppose you take S as a fixed point, let it be h comma k, and P as some variable point, let it be xy, and that fixed line L as you take some ax plus by plus c equal to 0. Apply SB by PM is equal to E. That means SP means, or SP square is equal by cross multiplying and squaring SP square is equal to E square into PM square you will get. What is SP square? X minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square equal to E square into, what is the PM square? That is perpendicular distance from that one. That is what? Ax plus by plus c by root of a square plus b square whole square. After simplification of entire things, you will get that as a second degree non-homogeneous equation in x and y. So a second degree non-homogeneous equation x and y represents a conic, provided it represents a circle if it represents a pair of lines if delta equal to 0 and h square greater than or equal to ab, g square greater than or equal to ac, and f square greater than or equal to bc. What are h, a, b and f? A is coefficient of x square, b is what? Coefficient of y square, and g is coefficient of x, f is coefficient of y, c is a constant, and h is coefficient of xy. And here this delta equal to 0, delta is called discriminant, and the value of delta is ABC, capital ABC plus 2FGH minus AF square minus BG square minus CH square. This is the value of delta. This you have studied in a pair of straight lines as well as in circles chapter. So whenever delta equal to 0 and h square greater than or equal to AB, g square greater than or equal to AC, and b square, f square greater than or equal to AC, then this second degree non-homogeneous equation represents what? Pair of lines. If delta not equal to 0 and coefficient of x square is equal to coefficient of y square and coefficient of xy equal to 0 and moreover g square plus f square minus AC greater than or equal to 0, then this second degree non-homogeneous equation represents what? Circle. And for hyperbola, these are the conditions. What are the conditions? Delta not equal to 0 and h square equal to AB. For ellipse, delta not equal to 0, h square less than AB. And for hyperbola, delta not equal to 0 and h square greater than AB. So, a conic is a second degree non-homogeneous equation in x and y, but converse need not be true. That means every second degree non-homogeneous equation doesn't represent a conic, provided terms and conditions apply. So here now we are concentrating on parabola. As I said in a previous point, if the locus of SP by PM is equal to 1, then locus of P is called parabola. And the standard form of the parabola is, in general, one can represent with y square is equal to 4ax, but there are several varieties of parabolas are there. So we are slowly learning each and every varieties of parabolas. Now different forms of the parabolas. Of that, now first we are concentrating on what? Y square is equal to 4ax, where a greater than 0. What is a? Coefficient of x. This is the parabola whose axis is along x-axis. Whose axis is what? Along x-axis. See, this is the parabola. This is about origin, and let it be a, and this is x-axis, and this is y-axis. Parabola is an infinite curve. It is not a bounded curve, or it is not a closed curve. And this is the upper branch of the parabola. It is infinite ray. And this is also the lower part of the parabola, or lower branch of the parabola. It is also an infinite arc. And it is symmetrical about x-axis. Whenever the curve is symmetrical about x-axis, hence it is called the axis of the parabola. So here y square is equal to 4ax is symmetrical about x-axis. Therefore x-axis is what? Axis of the parabola. And y-axis is tangent at origin. Later we will call this origin as a vertex of the parabola. So the most important point is, what is axis? Axis means the parabola which is symmetrical about which line? About what? Here the parabola is symmetrical about x-axis. Hence x-axis is what? Axis of this parabola. Y square is equal to 4ax. And for a greater than 0, it is always right to x-axis. So this is right part. This part is, but no part of the, no branch of this parabola lies in the left side of x-axis. So here it never appears. In this area it never appears. So if for y square is equal to 4ax, since a greater than 0. Now if a less than 0, what will happen? The same curve, imagine, in opposite direction. And this is an infinite branch, and of course this is upper branch and this is lower branch, and it is an infinite curve, not bounded curve, not closed curve also. And again here also it is x-axis, this is y-axis, and symmetrical about what? X-axis only. And moreover, when a less than 0, the curve is entire curve lies left of x-axis only. And coming to x square is equal to 4ay, and for a greater than 0, it is completely above the x-axis. And here this is the parabola symmetrical about y-axis, and here y-axis is the axis of the parabola. It is along y-axis, and this is x-axis. So for x square is equal to 4ay and a greater than 0, this parabola is the parabola which is above the x-axis, and axis as y-axis as the axis, and tangent to the vertex or tangent to the origin, where origin and vertex both are same for this parabola, is x-axis. Okay, this is about what? X square is equal to 4ay for a greater than 0. Now coming to x square is equal to 4ay for a less than 0, and thus that parabola is completely opposite to the above parabola. It is completely downwards to x-axis, and no branch or no part of the curve is above x-axis, and it is symmetrical about what? Y-axis. So if it is a and it is x and it is y, of course this a is origin, and we now call it as vertex for the parabola. Now the generalized form, if I have shifted the origin to the point alpha comma beta, that means if I have shifted my origin from origin 0 0 to alpha comma beta, and the axis of the parabola is parallel to x-axis, and the equation of the parabola whose axis parallel to x-axis is always in the form y minus beta whole square equal to 4a into x minus alpha, or after simplification of this you will get that as x is equal to ly square plus my plus n. This is what? This is equation of the parabola whose axis is parallel to x-axis. So this is my old original, and this is my new origin. So which point I have shifted? Parallel shifting. So previously my x-axis acts as what? Axis of the parabola. Now the line which is parallel to x-axis acts as axis of this parabola. And any equation, any expression in the form of ly square plus my plus n subject to x is represents what? A parabola whose axis parallel to x-axis. Of course, for a greater than 0, here don't forget a greater than 0, then it's situated right to x dash, or if a less than 0, then the curve situated left to x-axis like this. Okay. Now on the same lines, the second form of the parabola whose axis parallel to y-axis, that is x minus alpha whole square is equal to 4a into y minus beta. Of course, the same thing we can expect here. This is suppose my original and this is my new origin. Let it be alpha comma beta. Then what will happen? This is here the axis of the parabola is parallel to what? Y-axis. This is old x and y axis, and these are the old and x and y axis. These are the new x and y axis. Here my axis of the parabola is parallel to y axis. And since a greater than 0, it is above the x axis or above the x axis. If a less than 0, of course, it is below the x axis. And moreover, parabola is not at all a closed curve. So whenever I am asking what is the equation of the parabola whose axis is parallel to y axis, then immediately you have to tell the answer as y equal to Lx square plus mx plus n. How to get it? By simplification of this equation, you will get this equation only. The form, the structure is like that only. So don't get any confusion. And in previous one, this in previous one what? This is the equation of the parabola whose axis is parallel to x axis. And this is the equation of the parabola whose axis is parallel to y axis. And parabola is not a closed curve. And of course, what is the concept of axis? Axis of the parabola is the line where it is symmetrical about it. So as I said, for y square is equal to 4ax, if I have drawn the curve for a greater than 0, if I have drawn the curve is symmetrical about what? X-axis. That's why x-axis is what? Axis of the parabola. So the parabola is symmetrical about what line? That line indicates what? Axis of the parabola. If it is symmetrical about x-axis, then x-axis is the axis, and it happens only for y square is equal to 4ax, for a greater than 0 or less than 0, and for x square is equal to 4ay, and y-axis becomes the axis. Now, observe this diagram very carefully, and with the help of this diagram, you will get several informations and terminology that I would like to introduce. Suppose, as I said, this is my fixed point. Okay, here I would like to mention all the points with the different colors. This is my fixed line, and this is my fixed point, and this is my variable point. This is SP, and this is the perpendicular distance PM. If SP by PM, then locus of P is a parabola, and of course, and this is called, this S is called the focus. This is called focus, and the perpendicular, the projection, or I can say foot of the perpendicular from focus on to this particular line is Z. Then Z is called foot of the perpendicular from focus on to this directrix. This fixed line is called directrix. This already we learned in the beginning, and this is about directrix, and this is about focus, and this is variable point, and this A is called vertex, and it is the midpoint of S and Z. And from this diagram, see the observations one by one, you will get complete idea. See here, this ZM perpendicular to axis, and this is called the directrix. So the original definition of directrix is this one. This is applicable not only for parabola, for every conic section. This is the fixed definition. So the line ZM, which is perpendicular to x-axis. What is x-axis? Axis of the parabola. So the line which is perpendicular to axis of the conics is called the directrix. That is the general definition. So here, this is the ZM, which is called the directrix. And coming to the latus rectum, the line which is perpendicular to axis and passing through the focus. See here in the diagram, this is the line which is perpendicular to axis. This is x-axis. This is axis of the parabola, and this is the line passing through focus and perpendicular to axis. This is called what? Latus rectum. So from this figure, this LL dash is called the latus rectum. Not every line passing through focus is the latus rectum. If any chord which is passing through the focus is called focal chord. See, in the diagram QR, not only QR, any line you can draw, any chord, not any line, any chord Chord means joining any two extremities, any 2 points on the parabola. Suppose this is the chord, this is just a chord only, this is just a chord only, these are all of the chords only, but this is the chord which is passing through the focus of the parabola. The chord which is passing through the focus of the parabola is called the focal chord. But LL dash is also the focal chord, but not every focal chord is the latus rectum. The focal chord which is perpendicular to the axis is called the latus rectum. See, try to understand the difference between these two. And coming to double ordinate, suppose this is any point pxy and you draw a perpendicular onto the axis, and if suppose if it intersects the curve again at t, then this pt is called double ordinate. Of course, here this pm, pe, E is the projection of the point P on x-axis, and this length indicates y, and of course this another part of this length indicates y. So 2y is the double ordinate. So the line passing through P and perpendicular to the axis is called the double ordinate. And coming to fifth point, this is focus and this is any point on the parabola. The distance between focus and any point on the parabola is called the focal distance, or in other words we call it as focal radius. So my friends, here we practiced and we learned what? Directrix, latus rectum, focal chord and double ordinate and focal distance or focal radius. And coming to another important point, which is vertex. What is vertex? Already I mentioned it. This is the midpoint of SZ. What is S? Focus. And what is Z? Z is the foot of the perpendicular from focus onto the directrix. Foot of the perpendicular from focus onto the directrix. Then midpoint of this SZ is called vertex. This is another definition. So definition for vertex is what? Midpoint of S and Z is what? Vertex of the parabola, and it is usually represented with A. See, the names and notations, just you practice like this only, they may not be the permanent one. It may be based on the letters. We can also change the names. We can, the names will change, but the concept is fixed. And the directrix is the parabola of the parabola is always parallel to the tangent at the vertex. See, this is called a tangent at the vertex. What is that tangent at the vertex? Y-axis is the tangent at the vertex. And directrix is always what? Parallel to tangent at the vertex. So the relation between a tangent at the vertex of the parabola and directrix is what? They are parallel to one another. So we know, we understand what is vertex, what is latus rectum, what is focal chord, what is focal distance, what is focal radius, and what is tangent at the vertex, and what is vertex, etc. points we have learned with the help of this simple diagram. And coming to the standard notations, S represents what? Parabola. So instead of writing always for proving derivations or some other problems, not necessary to write y square is equal to 4ax or y equal to lx square plus mx plus n equal to n, something like that. Better use these standard notations. So here capital S represents the standard equation of the parabola y square minus 4ax. F is equal to 0 means y square is equal to 4ax. And S11 means if I have substituted the point on the parabola x1 y1, suppose y square is equal to 4ax is there. If px1 y1 is any point on the parabola, then what will happen? Y1 square equal to 4ax1. But suppose if I have substituted some another point x2 y2 on the parabola, it may not satisfies the parabola or not. That is a different story. Then I can represent that as what? Y2 square equal y2 square minus 4ax2. If it is 0, then only the point lies on the parabola. If it is not equal to 0, then that is just a relation only. That represents what? S11. And coming to S12, this is y1 y2 minus 2a into x1 plus x2. That is for S1, this is yy1 minus 2a into x plus x1. What is yy1 minus 2a into x plus x1, and what is S1 to y1 y2 minus 2a into x1 plus x2? Here in S1, you replace x and y with x2 and y2, you will get this as the equation. These are the standard notations for parabola. And of course, you might have practiced this kind of standard relations and results in what? In circles chapter also. The same things here we are doing. So this is the lesson number 1 of parabola, and lesson number 2 will coming soon, my friends. And meanwhile, Sri Chaitanya in online platform, we are giving this kind of notes and subject informations not only in mathematics, in physics and chemistry also. If you like this video, please subscribe and share to others also. And my friends, wish you all the best for the coming JEE mains aspirants. Soon they are going to write the second phase of the examination. And remember that Sri Chaitanya is the only institution, and we got 400 percentiles across the country in a January session, and the same history we are going to repeat even in 2020 final examination also, not only in mains, in advanced, because the programs that we have prepared and we have designed for you for your benefit only. If you have any other queries, you just contact the nearest administrators of Sri Chaitanya. They will guide you accordingly. Thank you one and all.